Hey, this is C.B Smallwood here with 100 Days of Making Comics, and I think this is day 39, maybe. I'm not for sure. It doesn't matter, but I'm getting close to 40. Um, let's see, updates. Well, I will say that here lately I've been uploading kind of infrequently, but that's nothing new to anybody that follows this channel. Sometimes I'll upload every day, and then other times I'll upload every other day. Um, can't say why that is. It's just how it works out somehow. But the positive thing is that I've kind of made it a habit now of drawing every day. It's really cool. Um, also, what else do I got to report? Well, lots of progress on a comic, of course. I've got roughly maybe like six or seven pages sort of done. I have to go back over these pages, of course, and kind of refine them a little bit more, which I'm doing right now. Also, I've got like another 5 or 6 pages that I've sketched out, and I just have to put those over on the big 11 by 17 paper. And let me think, what else do I got to report? Well, you can see the Superman thing that I did. Uh, Will Avenger has challenged me to do Iron Man next, and I've been studying on that a little bit. Also, playing around with editing a little bit, and I think I'm going to try to um, play with the camera more, with camera angles and things like that. Um, I think I've kind of reached a point of comfortability where I can start switching things around in my storytelling. Um, and before I go any further, if you've made it like 2 or 3 minutes into this video, I will be drawing stuff. Uh, but I'm just kind of, giving a lay of the land right now. And let's see. Hmm. And that's pretty much all I got to report, really. But lots of progress, lots of things stirring in my head, lots of ideas, and well, let's go ahead and get to it. All right, here we are on the old drawing table. Um, for some reason, I don't feel like this camera's picking up details really well. Let me see what happens when I do this. What happens if I throw a pencil down? Well, whatever it wants to do. A lot of my line work's kind of getting lost in this a little bit. Let's see. Maybe the lens is dirty. Let me try that. That actually helped there for a little bit. Anyway, so what I've done here is I've went back over my book, my first page of my comic, and started adding in, a lot more details and that sort of thing to make things pop a little more, and also add details that I didn't do, during the first pass. And I think it's turned out pretty good so far. I will tell you a couple of interesting things that I've run into. Okay. Well, first, I've determined that the light source for this first panel is coming from behind the girl because if we look at this last panel, you see the bad guys and there's the moon. So the moon is shining behind them, shining behind the girl, right? So that would mean in this panel, the moon is still over here, shining in this direction, which means still the moon would have to be back here somewhere, shining down, and the moon will be in the foreground, which you can't see it because it's in the foreground in the sky. So basically all this shading that I did on this cross, it's got to go because the moonlight is shining on it. And also after I got to looking at it, there's a lot of blacks on the page, and I think there's a possibility that some of the black cross would get lost in the shading in the background. I've also put some thought into the actual shading of the background, because when I had done it, I was kind of replicating, the way I sketched it, because it looked kind of cool and stuff. But then I got to thinking about, what is the colorist going to color, how are they going to approach what they do. So what I'm thinking is that when I go to ink this turd, that I'm going to have to like do the scratch lines that I got right now, and I promise they actually show up a lot better than how this camera is showing it. I don't know if it's because of the light. Let's see. I have no clue. But anyway, there's a lot of scratch lines on here, and so I think whenever I go to ink this, I'm just going to replicate these scratch lines, and they will leave these little micro spaces where a colorist can still color, a faint background color, and I think it would still work out fine. We'll see. If worst comes to worst, I don't think it'd be any trouble for the most part for a colorist just to, do an outline here, an outline here, outline here, to do the shapes, and then just cut, just delete these and then just add full color. I could do that, so I don't think it'd be a problem for them. All right, so the white cross doesn't look that bad. All right, let me tell you about the second problem that I've run into. And if I had a software program, I find myself kind of wanting one now, like a tablet. I could fix this really easy, but here's the girl. She's falling down. She's got the guys behind her. Can you guess what the problem is? Well, I'm going to tell you. I probably shouldn't if you haven't already noticed, but the perspective is a little off. These guys basically look like they're side by side with the girl, and they look like little doll men. It's actually kind of cool in a way, but that's not what I'm going for. I mean, they're supposed to be anywhere from 5 to 6 feet tall. These guys are, so that's a bit of a boo-boo. I started thinking about ways to fix it. Now, the way these guys are drawn out, I think, is fine, really. Quit, Hogan. Lay down, buddy. Can't concentrate, buddy. The couch is fine. Just lay down there. So, anyway, the way to fix this would be to take this girl and shrink her just a little bit. Maybe like 50% of how she is right here. And then it would look just fine. It would kind of change the vibe of the page overall, But I don't know. I know when there was just a silhouette of these guys, it looked fine. But as soon as I started doing the outline of those, bad guys, that's when things started to morph and change. So there you go. That's where I'm at. Also, I want to mention that, there we go. I don't know if you can see this. The camera's not wanting to focus. This is a .5mm M301. I don't know what the M301 stands for. It's just a 5.5 whatever lead pencil. That's all. You know how hard these stinkers are to find? I was lucky enough to find these at my local Walmart. Usually all you can find is .7s and .9s, and which that's fine. Um, I think each one of these lead pencils gives a really interesting effect. I find that the point nines are really good for doing dark outlines and for shading, and even sometimes just doing details too. I mean, like if I'm drawing a really big face about this big, this works good. Works great. And then this is like your medium range stuff. You can do much more finer details with this. This is a point 0.7, I believe. Yeah, and but it does have a limit on how fine of details you can do. I mean, you'd have to do like not press as hard and do really quick strokes and that sort of thing. But this bad boy is really thin lead. It is 0.5, and I've been having fun with it. So that's working out pretty good. Run out of space. I hope you guys can see this. There we go. Sorry. It's very tight and very, very sharp the way it does things. Also, these 0.5s, these were like the cheapest ones I could find at my local Walmart. Because just for a pack of two, it was like pretty much about $4. And this pack that I got doesn't even have refills or anything like that. Let me zoom in. I didn't want to spend a fortune on just trying to get a lead pencil, so I just said phooey on it and just got whatever, you know. Okay. This is going to be one of these I got stuff to say videos. I have stuff to say. I think, most of y'all, for the most part, enjoy my thoughts and trepidation, whatever. I don't even think that's the right word, but I think enjoy my thought processes. I would believe, I would assume. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. Just because I think that doesn't make it so. But I think it makes these videos a lot more interesting. And that's some real fancy cross hatching you're doing there, Brian. What do you call that? Sloponotics? Yep, it's sloponotics. It's just how I roll. I don't give a fudge. I just put it down however I want to put it down. Because I'm drawing it. That's why. And I swear, the details look a lot better. I don't know. I think my camera might be smudged, or maybe it's just the lighting or something. But I don't want to focus too much on that this whole conversation. So let me tell you about Iron Man. So Will Avenger challenges me to draw Iron Man, and which I still haven't seen his Superman, so he needs to show me his Superman that he's drawn. And anyway, so yeah, I got challenged to draw Iron Man, and I was doing some research on old Shellhead's outfit, you know, his suit, trying to figure out what is the best way to render him, you know, and that sort of thing. And and not only that, you know, also like how to I don't know how I'm losing train of thought where I'm drawing here, sorry. But also not just how to render Iron Man, um, but the, you know, the what kind of pose I'm going to go with, what's the theme of you know, the drawing. Oh, that's cross hatching. It's not looking too hot here. Whatever. I'll see if I can salvage it. So I've been putting some thought into that, and as I've been thinking on this, I went to bed the other night with many of these thoughts in my head, and an interesting thing happened. I was laying there, and I was working on going to sleep. I had my eyes closed, and this is going to sound a little nutty to some of you, but I actually started having artistic visions. Now you're saying, you know, Brian, what in the world is an artistic vision? Well, I'm going to tell you. It is basically, oh shucks. It is well, you know, as I was laying there with my eyes closed and I'm just trying to rest, and all I want to do is just draw. I'm thinking about Iron Man, and the theme for Superman starts playing. You know, da 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 da. You know, that's playing in my head, and then all of a sudden, all these covers, like Iron Man covers, were popping up in my head. You know, with all these different poses. And they were in black and white, you know, they were inked, and these covers don't exist. They don't exist nowhere but in my head. And so it's like one thing after another, and every one of them, I promise you, is awesome. You know, it was Jim Lee, Mark Silvestri, Wallace Portacio. I think that's how you pronounce his name. It was all those guys worthy. It was, you know, it's really great stuff. And I can't really explain why I was seeing all this stuff, and I had this really bad urge, you know, I need to go, you know, sketch these things out right quick. But I was just so tired. And so what ended up happening is, you know, I get up the next day, and the memory of these things are all foggy now. But they were so clear and vivid, the details and stuff when I was having them. But I couldn't, you know, I don't think I could replicate any of that stuff to save my life. But it was this amazing experience that happened to me. You know, it's not like no life changing thing or nothing like that, but it was really interesting. I've never had that really happen before. At least to that extent, where all these things, like these perfectly well done covers, were in my head, you know. And it's like, it's crazy. It sounds like my brain was accessing parts of my mind that been neglected, and like it was just like an explosion. There's like probably about 5 or 6 different covers that popped in my head that night. Anyway, let me grab another page. There's a double splash. There's this. Okay, here we go. I'll work on this turd. So, but it was a great experience, and I'm sorry if I'm rambling and I'm not being very coherent here, because I'm trying to draw and talk at the same time. But I was trying to think about the conditions that created these visions that I had, because oh man, it was super helpful. If I could just sit around and just visualize all those covers like how I did, and I wasn't dreaming. It wasn't a dream. I think I was drifting off into a dream state in a way, but it wasn't a dream. Here's my out of perspective gun. Not out of perspective, but like just wonky gun. But it wasn't a dream, so I was trying to think how to replicate it, and everything was quiet that night. There was no music playing except for in my head. The Superman theme was playing in my head, and so I'll have to try and experiment later on and see if I can replicate that. If I can, that'd be amazing. That'd be so helpful when it comes to drawing and everything, Have any of you that that are artistically inclined, have you ever had an experience like that? Even if you are not artistically inclined, have you ever had an experience like that? Let's see. I figured that I would also mention that I become extremely addicted to drawing here lately, and that's great. It's like all I want to do is just draw, and I'm noticing the more I draw, the better that I'm getting. I just keep improving. Now I'm not saying I'm some artistic virtuoso or nothing like that, because I know I'm not. That's not what I mean. But I'm just saying that I'm getting good. Better. When I say getting good, I mean like better than what I was. And I'm curious how all this is going to work out. At our 100 days of drawing comics challenge is said and over with. Because because eventually at some point I'll finish it, or maybe I won't finish it. I don't know what will happen. You know, it's just one of these things. Well, I actually have more to say here. This stuff's out of perspective. Oh, gosh, whatever. But anyway, folks, all I got to say is I'm having great progress. I'm having freaking artistic visions for some reason, or I did for at least one night, and lots of progress. So, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, or upvote or whatever. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and follow. And also, if you got any questions, comments, concerns, leave a comment down below. And as always, I am C.B Smallwood, and you're watching 100 Days of Making Comics.